The biggest lies we've been told about the colonization of America. The Indians weren't defeated by white settlers. The United States wasn't founded on July 4, 1776. The Founding Fathers weren't Christians. Pocahontas didn't fall in love with John Smith, and the Thanksgiving story is a myth. Let's debunk these and other misconceptions. Before Europeans arrived, America's population was huge. There were between 20 and 100 million natives. Most of them were not defeated in battle. They were killed by the plague. In Massachusetts, 96% of Native Americans were wiped out. Ultimately, 90% of all Indians in North America died. This ties into the myth of Thanksgiving. We're taught that the Pilgrims were saved by Indians. They supposedly shared a meal together, but in fact, the Pilgrims were plague bearers. Of course, they were not aware of it. They moved to a new town to avoid the accumulation of bodies. In the new town, they introduced the plague again. The Pilgrims then moved to Cape Cod. There were no Indians left there, so the Pilgrims took over their cleared lands and cornfields. The settlers thought of Indians as primitive savages, but in fact, North America had an advanced civilization. The city of Cahokia was bigger than London in 1250. Native Americans invented hygiene and syringes before Europeans. Of course, not all tribes were equally advanced, but many of them had pre-Columbian civilizations. By the way, Christopher Columbus did not discover America. The Vikings had settlements on the East Coast in 1005. That's more than 4 centuries before Columbus. The Vikings were kicked out by Native Americans after 2 years. Another enduring myth is the story of Pocahontas. It has become well known thanks to the Disney movie, but there was no romance involved. The settlers imprisoned the Indian princess in 1613. They baptized her and renamed her Rebecca. The girl was just 12 when she married. Her husband was 28-year-old John Rolfe, an English farmer. Her real name also wasn't Pocahontas. That was just a nickname, roughly translated as Little Mischief. She died in England, but even the founding of the United States is shrouded in mythology. The Continental Congress voted for independence on July 2, 1776. The Declaration of Independence was drafted the same day. A revision was approved on the 4th. It was read aloud for the first time on the 8th. The final document wasn't signed until August 2nd. This makes the 4th of July a pretty random date to celebrate. The Founding Fathers' legacy is also not straightforward. First of all, there's no definitive list of Founding Fathers. Secondly, most of them weren't devoutly Christian. Thomas Jefferson said the Bible stood contrary to reason. John Adams proclaimed that the U.S. is not founded on the Christian religion. George Washington rarely went to church. He also deliberately avoided taking communion. And Thomas Paine openly mocked religion. Most of the founders wanted America to be secular. That's why the Constitution does not mention God. But what about the national motto, "In God We Trust," was adopted in 1956. It was a way to emphasize America's anti-communist stance. The phrase first appeared on the $1 silver certificate in 1957.